You probably know about the name of this. You probably know this is a pumpkin or a carved pumpkin. You may even know some people call it a jack-o'-lantern. You may have vocabulary like spiders or maybe spiderweb. But do you know where Halloween comes from? What is the origin of trick-or-treating? Why people get dressed in costumes? Don't you know? Well, let's find out now. Hello and welcome back to A Moment with TSI, the podcast created for you to get the language exposure you need to learn and improve your skills. I'm your host Carlos, and in this episode we're going to be speaking about Halloween. Let's learn about the origins, vocabulary, and some expressions you may use when speaking about this holiday. Well, the first thing that I want to talk about is that Halloween, also known as All Hallows Eve, comes from a Gaelic origin, Gaelic being part of the Celtic people. And yes, I pronounced Celtic, although you may have heard Celtic like in the Boston Celtics. This is because most academics and historians prefer to pronounce Celtic, but Celtic is good anyways. Now, the origin of Halloween comes from the Gaelic festival called Samhain. I repeat, Samhain. During this time, the Celtics celebrated the harvest that came with the end of summer, and because it was the transition to the new year as winter arrived, they believed that supernatural things happened because the doors of our world were open to the supernatural or to the world of the spirits. This is why Halloween is usually associated with ghosts and spirits. Now, let's move to some vocabulary related to this celebration. But before we go there, let me remember that if you are in Spotify or Apple Podcast, you can leave us a good rating and we will really appreciate it. Also, if you're watching this on YouTube, you can like, subscribe, and hit the bell button. Now, continuing with the vocabulary, the first word I want to introduce is the word Celts, or as I said before, Celts. This is an ancient group of people that lived in Europe long time ago that cover regions of Ireland, Scotland, and Wales. Now, the next word is harvest. I mentioned that the Celtics celebrated Halloween as the time of the harvest to be grateful of the harvest. But harvest is the time when crops are gathered, crops being the food that we take from planting seeds in the earth. So this is a result of the harvest, taking the crops and gather them, which is usually done during the time of autumn. The next word is supernatural. I mentioned that the Celtics believe that supernatural things happened during this day, the day of Halloween, or what they call the Samhain, the festival of Samhain. Now, supernatural are things that do not belong to our world or are beyond what is natural or explainable by science. The next word I bring is spirits. As we said, the Celtics believed that spirits wandered around in our world because the door was open for them to come from their world. Now, spirits are often thought as the souls of the deceased or supernatural beings. Now, there are many traditions that take place during Halloween. Now, what is a tradition? A tradition is a custom or a belief that is passed down through generations year after year. Let's move now that we're speaking about traditions to other traditions that are associated with Halloween. Most popular traditions include trick-or-treating, wearing costumes or getting dressed in costumes, the character called Jack-o'-lantern, receiving and giving, of course, candy, and haunted houses. Now, speaking about trick-or-treating, you must know that this is the tradition where children dressed in costumes and go from door to door or house to house asking for candy. Now, the origin of this tradition has three theories. However, since the day or the holiday of Halloween has its origins in Gaelic traditions, we believe that the same happens with trick-or-treating. The theory says that Gaelic people believe that they should give food so the evil spirits that may enter our world would be at ease. They wouldn't be violent or attack them during the Halloween night. So, as the year passed, many people started to take advantage of this situation or this tradition, and they decided to start getting dressed in different types of costumes and ask for food to others. Another part of the theory is that Gaelic people believe that they should also get dressed in different clothing than the normal clothing they would dress to make the spirits go away from them and not attack them. So that is a combination of trick or treating, getting dressed and asking for food. Obviously, when the years passed, many communities started celebrating Halloween in a more friendly manner, trying to get people together and, of course, trying to get children to get involved in these traditions. So many communities decided that children should be the ones asking, like getting dressed and asking for the food. And of course, what better food to deliver in a celebration for children than candy. Now, the next tradition I bring you is wearing costumes. A costume is clothing and accessories worn to resemble a character or a creature. This also comes from the Gaelic tradition, where they would get dressed to put away the evil spirits that would enter our world during Halloween. Moving to the next tradition I mentioned is the tradition of the character known as the jack-o'-lantern. The jack-o'-lantern is nothing else but a carved pumpkin with a candle inside that resembles a lantern, just like the one I have back there. Okay, now jack-o'-lantern, the name Jack comes from a legend of a man that was supposed to have an agreement with the devil, and that agreement failed, of course, and he was wandering as an evil spirit around. That's why people carve faces at the beginning to scare that evil spirit, to put it away from them. And nowadays it's just a funny story that is told to children, so they also carved pumpkins and create the jack-o'-lanterns. Moving to candy, well, candy refers to sweet treats like chocolate or gummies, similar to the ones that are delivered to the children during Halloween nights when they are trick-or-treating. Haunted house, which is the last tradition vocabulary that I bring you, refers to a building which is believed to be inhabited. Inhabited being that something or someone lives in. In this case, ghosts or spirits are believed to inhabit a haunted house. Now, let's move to some of the idioms that are related to Halloween. In this case, I bring you an idiom that is related to Halloween because of the words they use, which is skeletons in the closet. Now, the idiom actually refers to having secrets or embarrassing things hidden because we don't want others to learn about them. Another nice idiom that we could relate to this topic would be the calm before the storm. This being because the expression means a peaceful period, like when people were celebrating during the day of Halloween, and that period was peaceful, but before the night came, which could turn turbulent and violent with the spirits coming into our world. So I repeat, the calm before the storm is just an expression to say or to speak about a peaceful period before a difficult or turbulent time. Moving to some other activities that we have during Halloween, you must have heard that there are some games that people use when they are in parties celebrating Halloween. The most famous being bobbing for apples. And this is a game where people try to bite apples that are floating in water without using their hands. So they are trying to kind of take them with their mouth, just like you can see in Snow White and the Seven Dwarfs, the Disney movie. Another activity or phrase used during this time of Halloween is the witching hour. The witching hour refers to midnight, which is often associated with supernatural events. So, the witching hour, especially the midnight of the day of Halloween. But now, Halloween is not only about costumes, candies, spirits. There are other idioms and expressions that I want to share with you. Now, another idiom that I wanted to share with you, because it's related to dying, is kick the bucket. When someone or something, like an animal or anything, kicks the bucket, that means that it has died. Another one would be ghost of a chance. Since we are using ghost, which is a common word found in Halloween vocabulary, we use ghost of a chance when referring to a situation where it's very difficult to have success, almost no chance to have success. Another expression would be to have bats in one's belfry. The belfry is the building that contains the bells, like in a church. So to have bats in one's belfry means that someone is a little crazy or eccentric. That one has bats in his belfries. Next expression would be to be a scaredy cat. This describes a person who is easily scared or frightened. It's very simple. Now, you also must know that Halloween is celebrated in other countries in different ways. A good example we find is Dia de los Muertos in Mexico. Of course, this is the Mexican day celebrated to honor deceased loved ones, and we can see that celebration in Disney movie called Coco. This wraps up our Halloween episode. I hope you have learned more about the origins of this celebration, this spooky holiday, and I hope you have also learned the vocabulary, idioms, and expressions that I shared with you today. Thank you for joining us in A Moment with TSI. Remember, we come out every Tuesday with a new episode, and of course, if you are watching this, remember to like, subscribe, and hit the bell button so you won't miss any other episode. This is it. Until the next one. Thank you very much for listening or watching.